iHeart.com.
Why'd you switch headsets?
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville. An iHeart radio station.
ABC News. I'm Mike Dubusky. Israel has fired a volley of strikes on more than 140 Hezbollah targets in recent hours, killing a top Hezbollah leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Israel's military spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, spoke about that strike earlier today.
For Nasrallah's many victims over the decades, whether in Israel, Argentina, Bulgaria, Syria, or Lebanon itself, justice has been served.
After Nasrallah's death was confirmed, Israel continued to fire strikes on Beirut, where we find ABC's Marcus Moore.
Parts of southern Beirut in flames. But just hours after the first aerial assault, Israel warned people living in the southern suburb of Dahya to leave immediately, as the IDF targeted more residential buildings.
Israel says it is bracing for more attacks after this escalation in fighting.
Hey,
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is providing an update on how his state is doing after Hurricane Helene made landfall yesterday.
We saw really monumental storm surge. We're not going to be able to have the firm numbers right now, but that'll happen. But I mean, clearly you saw storm surge in excess of 15 feet. So that is much, much more significant than what we've seen in recent storms.
The storm's sustained winds hit 140 miles an hour when it came ashore in Florida's Big Bend region. 52 people are confirmed to have been killed as a result of the storm across 5 states. Now, as Helene is downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone, residents are surveying the damage.
The cleanup and recovery efforts are constant. Over 8,000 miles of roads have been cleared so far. Bridges and airports reopening. Crews work round the clock removing trees off power lines.
ABC's Ike Ajachi. Former President Trump is campaigning in Wisconsin today. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is in Arizona. You're listening to ABC News.
More than 100 workers from AEP Ohio, including some from Columbus, are in North Carolina to help communities recover from Hurricane Helene.
I don't know what that is.
The historic storm battering the southeast after making landfall in Florida's Big Bend region Thursday night as a Category 4 hurricane, with 140-mile-per-hour sustained winds and even stronger gusts. The Central Ohio electrical crews will be repairing down lines and replacing utility poles that have been damaged. The workers have been instructed to pack for 14 days away from home. Officials in the South have warned residents that widespread power outages there could last for days, possibly weeks. I'm Rob Bailey.
Kent police arrested an 11-year-old very early Friday morning and charged the boy with making terrorist threats against his middle school. The threat was allegedly included in a text message the boy was sending to a classmate. Lieutenant Michael Lewis of the Kent Police told 3 News this is a crime they take very seriously.
Because of the nature of the threats that were made, and threatening to shoot up the school is making terroristic threats.
Meantime, on Thursday, 2 Avon Lake High School students were arrested after they were accused of posting threats on social media. Springfield city officials declined a call from Ohio Senator and Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance earlier this month.
In an email obtained by ABC News, Springfield Mayor Rob Rue told Vance's acting state director James Coyne that he and other city leaders were declining to join a call after the senator's office invited third parties to join who Vance's team said had first-hand experiences with how the influx of Haitian migrants in Springfield was affecting their lives. A Springfield city spokesperson said officials initially believed they were scheduling a private call between Vance, Rue, and Springfield city manager Brian Heck. Another call has not taken place, according to Springfield Strategic Engagement Manager Karen Graves. I'm Lee Mowen.
And I'm Andy Betts.
Your latest news, traffic, and weather.
If you're not informed, then you're out of the loop.
All you have to do is ask.
Play 610 WTVN on iHeartRadio.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $1 Small Frosty Deal. Get ready to cool down this summer with the ultimate treat. This delectable dessert is too thick for a straw, but just right for a fry. Is it a milkshake? Is it ice cream? Neither. It's a Frosty. Come taste your favorite small Frosty flavor for just $1. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Have you heard Winning Retirement Radio with Greg and Kristen Taylor?
Tax rates, I really believe, are going to be the downfall of a lot of retirements because we thought we were going to have this much money to spend. Wait a minute. lot of that money really
it's just
belongs to
it's
me.
a heavy one-liner, Al.
Are you prepared for that?
We'll dive the conversation more after the news at the top of the hour here on News Radio 610 WTVN.
Hey, Al, were you able to get that soundbite too from Kamala?
Hi, it's Lita, your friend at Columbus Mobility Specialist. Life's full of challenges, especially if you're dealing with the physical one. At Columbus Mobility Specialist, we're all about making life easier for you, like new and used accessible vans, home stair lifts, and scooters to fit your lifestyle. A custom fabrication shop.
What the heck? Is it the one I sent this morning?
Independence is just a phone call away. 4-825-8996 or visit columbusmobility.com. Solutions to make your life easier.
Have you ever thought about suppressing your firearm? With wait times now reduced to as little as 48 hours. You heard that right. Processing times as little as 48 hours. It might be time to consider that suppressor. Let's just say if you believe in your right to bear arms, the presidential election is super easy this year. One candidate wants to protect your right, and the other, well, she says it. Her words, not mine. She'll come into your house even if you own that gun legally. All this, much, much more, up next on OnTarget.
All right, we don't have an intro today either, I guess.
Your intro was just.
I got it. Don't worry. Just hum something rock and roll-ish. Live from LAPD Firearms and Range, 999 Bethel Road. This is 4 guys with bad attitudes and a woman with equipment that doesn't work. Welcome to OnTarget. Here's your host, Eric Delbert.
There you go. Thank you, iHeartRadio. Yay! What the heck? Why do we even prepare?
She didn't feed her mouse. That's the problem.
Oh, not Ella. It ain't Ella's.
Mouse has to eat now and then.
Okay, guys. Welcome back. I'm going back to the middle of the intersection. It was safer and more controlled. Chuck, thanks for taking the reins last week.
I think evil forces are at work.
Yep, I didn't even. It has been such a crazy week.
I hope I wasn't too funny.
Chuck got a complaint this week. He said he's too funny on the air.
I make too many jokes.
Maybe you should
lighten up.
Funny looking. Guys, really, thanks for taking over. I didn't even get a chance to listen to the show back. That's how pathetic it was this week.
It was excellent.
Everyone said it was good.
Yeah. Got a guy that says you're just as good as Bob Connors.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's the best compliment you can give me.
I will say, Chuck, it kind of makes me uneasy, though, when I'm not here and they're like, that was just a great show. I'm like, okay,
maybe you should leave more often.
I know, Ed.
Good show, but you own the joint, so it
doesn't mean nothing. Guys, welcome to OnTarget. We're broadcasting live. We're in the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's at 999 Bethel Road. We got a full house here today. Got JC. We got Big Ed, Little Chuck. We got
Houlihan.
We got the crowd here. All good stuff. And we got a lot to get to today. We are the owners of LAPD Firearms and Range and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you facts about our industry, help listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Guys, time is flying by. Had a great show last week. This election is right around the corner. We are
39 days away?
I think it's 46. 46 or 47 days, I think.
Is that what we're telling you?
I don't think it's that much.
Whatever it is, vote.
That's right. We're preempted a couple weeks because of football coming up. So I feel like our time is running out to get some of these messages out. Today, though, we're going to take a little bit of a step back and talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. At 12:30, our range manager is going to jump up here with us and talk about suppressors. And mainly because, guys, a year ago at this time, if I were to tell you to go out and purchase a suppressor, I would also say that the wait time for getting that suppressor back was close to a year. A year. Unbelievably, and it kind of is it's kind of suspect, to say the least. The wait times now, 24 to 48 hours.
That's a little bit better.
It's a little bit better. It makes you wonder what the heck was going on or what the heck is happening. But I'll take it. But what it's done is for the suppressor market and some of the NFA market, it has totally opened it up, because not only can you come in and buy it today, you don't have to wait a year. I mean, people were, they would say that they had their suppressor in jail, but here, I mean, literally within the week sometimes people were coming to get them back.
It would be helpful if you would go out on the range and put a suppressor on any weapon, and fire it and do a video, put it up on your page. Because, I think 99% of the people out there probably think a suppressor sounds like a television show silencer.
Hollywood sound. Yeah,
right. It just goes, and that's not the case. There's more noise than that. Now, it suppresses. It doesn't silence, and TV is what it is.
And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about it actually in decibel levels and so forth, and it's not what you think. Definitely some advantages and definitely some reason to consider one. But it's not Hollywood silent like many on the left would much you to think, and that's why they don't like them. Oh, it's there's crime is going to be committed with these, and you don't know where the round's coming from. Total BS, but isn't that basically what they're based on?
Since they became available, like 99% of the crime?
For that though, JC has some good news we're going to get to, and we actually have two guns I want to talk about. Find it for gun of the week. I know you guys touched upon one last week, but I want to just throw my 2 cents in because it is really that neat. And then we also have one that came in that is used. If you consider it used, having had 5 rounds shot down it, it's a very, very, very unique one. Not necessarily high price, but just a unique one that I wanted to mention and stuff. So that's going to be coming up here soon, and that is sponsored by our good friends over at U.S. Law Shield, who I just saw walk by the studio desk on the way up there to the concealed carry class T3rd. Right here, self-defense, what happens next? It gets you thinking about if you're ever in a self-defense scenario. Not necessarily just with a firearm. It could be in any self-defense scenario. What are the steps you should be thinking about and planning long before that would ever happen? That's going to be here October 23rd, and you can stop by to find out how to register and so forth. I think that's free as well, so how can you beat that? Okay, what else do we have here? All other sponsors. Blackwing Shooting Centers, our good friends up north. River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. I want to jump to, I told you who's here. Got little Chuck, Big Ed, JC. I want to jump to CPD stats because these are, it just...
Are we talking about Chicago or Columbus?
Columbus. It is... It continues to be much of the same, and I just can't believe the disparity in some of these. So check this out, Chuck. And see, this is as of last week, so these are even probably a little bit higher right now. But percent Black or Hispanic. That's horrible for that segment of the population. Horrible.
All those white people out there shooting at them is what it is.
Oh, you would think that. That's what the media says.
Yes.
That's what the media says. But no, actually, the stats don't say that. The stats don't say that. As of last week, 94%. 94% of the suspects, Black or Hispanic. Chuck, what?
They were white, blacks, or Hispanics.
No.
Come on, man. CNN says so.
No.
That's incredible.
94%.
That is an incredible.
It's no different than Chicago.
I know, and these stats play on felonious assaults as well, similar. And here, this is even more disturbing. 30% of the homicide victims in Columbus this year. 30%. That's a big number. Under 21.
I actually would expect it to be bigger.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I'm kind of surprised by only 30%.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
40% of the suspects under 21. 40%.
That does not surprise me.
What do we do? I mean, we've identified the problem. There are solutions. And what do? We keep giving the failed leaders the city to the city. I mean, who is believing them anymore when they stand up there and feed the line of BS? It's incredible. I mean, that number, that's staggering. That is pathetic for a city like ours.
Maybe they should focus their gun buy program on under 20.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
All the ones
you're under 20, we'll take you to gun buy.
That's interesting. Now, under 21, you cannot possess a handgun legally. What if a 14-year-old kid shows up at the next gun buy back with a couple 9mm pistols? What are they going to do? Give him a check or put him in jail?
They're actually, Chuck, and this is a whole other thing. We should probably get one of the attorneys on who know this inside and out. But legally, I think to be a true statement, legally, if you are under 21, any age under 21,
you can turn a gun in,
and you are carrying open carry, you can walk down the street. The law goes to, it doesn't go to the possession, it goes to how it was acquired. So you can't buy it, you can't get it to them, but they have it walking down the street. They're 15
and they stole it. It's okay.
Hey kids, carry your open carry 9mm that you stole from Fred's drawer outside illegally. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You talk about hitting yourself in the head with the hammer and wondering why it hurts.
Now wait a minute. You want to tell me about responsible common sense gun laws that would be responsible sense not to let a 14-year-old open carry a pistol?
Like I said, I need to. I mean, that would be worth talking to one of these guys who are know that a little bit better. But I believe that to be the case. Which is just a pathetic. I mean, if you think about it, out in the country, out on the farms and stuff, I mean, that's where you could say, okay, I see that the 14-year-old around the farm in the small towns and stuff might have used to it. That also, unfortunately, plays out in Linden, so something definitely to check out.
Beloved West Side.
That's right. Speaking of numbers, JC, so there was a stat that came out this week that crime is down. Chuck, don't look out the window. It doesn't matter what you're seeing. Crime is down.
Nothing to
Crime's
see here.
down. Gas is cheap.
Yep.
And bread, they're like giving bread away.
Were you raised in a middle-class family?
Yeah.
So was I.
Yes.
Did you have a nice cut lawn?
Yeah, her middle-class family had 2 PhDs, her mother and father. They owned 2 homes, and she went to some of the most expensive elementary and schools, just like the typical middle-class family. I'm middle class.
And she has no problem coming into your house to make sure you're housing your guns responsibly.
But that's part of her opportunity economy.
So the Uniform Crime Report came out, and we haven't had a chance to go through it. I am happy to report that it looks to be consistent with the past 15 years that we've reported on. I'm happy to report that the ARs,
yes,
let me back up, rifles, all rifles,
yes,
not just AR, not just the mean ones, Chuck.
Right.
Any rifle, okay? If you look at how many homicides were done with rifles,
yes,
more people still died hands, fists, and feet last year. We got to do something about that, Chuck.
Got to do something about them.
Yes, yeah. So,
get rid of the AR. Nobody will die hands and feet.
Common sense foot legislation. That's what we need.
Chuck, I could get that on a banner for us. So, and John, how many defensive handgun uses did they?
Just and this is so important. So many studies have been done trying to disprove this, but between 4,000 and 5,000 times every single day, a citizen has used, not necessarily fired, but a citizen has employed a firearm to defend their life, someone else's life, and you can do it for free. You can't in Ohio, but that many times a day. So many, in the CDC had these published as defensive gun uses. Until 5 senators, Democratic senators, said, hey, they petitioned under this administration saying, hey, you can't put this out there. How are we going to get legislation passed when people realize that 5,000 times a day people are using firearms to defend their life from criminals? So they took it down. You will not find defensive gun usage anymore. These studies have been going on since the Clinton era. Clinton was shocked to find how many times, millions of times a year, citizens are using firearms to defend themselves.
This wasn't just a report that was funded by the NRA, and you're like, okay, come on. This was
independent.
And actually, if I remember correctly, the CDC even did their own.
Well, they did after the first one came out, and the guy was he was just a professor at a university, and he really thought that this was, we wasn't going to find this. So they even had someone from Oxford, England, and head of their interviews and their surveys looked at it and said, well, I don't like what the findings say, but I can't fault the methods and what the results were. So they said, what do we do? And the recent one was that English. We were hoping to get him on there, who did another one. There have been 5 or 6 studies. Some have gone for years, like Clinton. He did it for 3 years, and he said, oh, man, I don't like what this says. So they did not publish the results. That's how
and wasn't that a CDC one? Or
right. He had the CDC investigate, and they said, here's what the results are. And well, we can't tell people that. And that is exactly what it is.
Well,
so the truth is out there, as they say, and they don't want you to know.
And JC, as we go into break and stuff, I mean, we should expect to start hearing the truth more and more over the airways, because I think during break you said Soros just bought 250 more stations.
No, over 200. George Soros just found out that there's a company called, I think, Audacity, like AUD with the anyway, they own 214 stations or something. Well, they filed Chapter 11. And for $415 million, he can buy out what they owe and what they're in debt, and that will give him control over 200 and some radio stations. Real quickly, they said in the survey, 24% of people get their news through the TV. 31% of Americans get their news through audio. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to do it now before they're trying to rush it through. Special provision to try to get the FCC to rush it through so we can get this out
Mama
there
iHeart, write the check.
Right.
Holy
Guys,
moly.
Let's turn to a quick break. When we get back, we are going to talk about a little bit of news, get to a gun of the week, and much, much more. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms Range. We'll be back right after the break. So where did that come out? JC, was that just out?
That was on the
countdown is on, and there won't be another.
I can give you the website. They list everything on it and how much the money was and who owns what, but that'll give him. And then the foreigners have the other people in foreign countries own another portion of it, but they'll give him majority control with this $415 million. And normally it takes a long time to get this through, but they have petitioned the FCC. Now, the head of the FCC happens to be Republican, but all the rest of the folks are Democrats are controlled, and they said it looks like this is going to go through, and they're trying to rush it through before the election so we can switch over and now start putting.
That's rough, because that would give him controlling interest in about 25% of the iHeart stations, the number of iHeart stations.
I don't know anything about Audacity.
So we're just over 800, I think, now. Wow. So if he's going to pick up like 241, I think.
214, I think is 214. But I have the article reference, so it's
that's a pretty significant punch.
And
they're going to counter program everything that our stations would program. That's scary
that
stuff.
That was the fear that he'll just control.
Hey, Chuck, do you know we got kicked off? And there's so much stuff. We got kicked off of Facebook last week. I mean, the show got taken down last week.
No, I didn't know
not
that.
on Facebook.
Or
30
YouTube.
seconds.
YouTube.
Why?
YouTube.
Was it because
but give
of me?
Facebook a chance. They're working on it.
Too funny.
I don't know what the temperature is, man.
I don't either.
It's chilly. That's all I know.
To it, huh?
68.
Yeah, they're no different.
I said it before.
It's heavier. Made
So
out of
you know.
steel versus
I knew.
aluminum.
It's
Well, you
always
knew.
you.
But
It's always you first.
Oh, okay.
10 seconds.
Just baffles all through here.
Number one. Uno.
Or small frosty deal.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather for the rest of today. Scattered rain showers throughout the day, a high of 73. For tonight, things clear out. We'll see a low of 64. Sunday, scattered showers once again, a high of 74. It is 68 at your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Columbus's news is on. News Radio 610 WTVN.
So I'll settle for one day to believe in you.
Is this what they play when Kamala comes out?
No, her lies aren't sweet.
Yeah, that is valid.
That's so valid.
Christine McVie didn't get nearly enough credit.
No.
Everybody was all over Stevie Nicks. Christine McVie did not get nearly enough credit.
Awesome concert, though. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LEPD studios. I got Big Ed, I got Lil Chuck, I got JC. JC, we're going to go right to some news to round out the bottom of the half hour. What
that song just says it all. Okay, the one thing about Kamala, where she has been consistent on, she says, "My values have not changed."
Lie.
Whenever she flip-flop, my values have not changed. So let's go back and look at some of her values.
Lie.
When she was the district attorney for San Francisco, she sponsored, not just support, she sponsored a measure that banned San Francisco residents from buying, selling, or possessing handguns. No resident. It passed. 58% voted for that. Citizens, no one could own a handgun. So, of course, immediately NRA and the California Rifle and Pistol Association put it up. It was so bad that even Gavin Newsom, who happened to be the mayor of San Francisco at that time, did not even comment on it, and Feinstein said, this can't fly. The courts have already ruled on it. But she put it out there anyway, and the attorney who represented the NRA just said, Kamala Harris has never met a gun control law she didn't like. All right, that's the first one. The second one is what we've already talked about. We have the video. I think we're going to post it eventually.
You know what? Alice said she had a problem getting it, but yep.
Anyway, when she was, again, the Attorney General, pardon me, not Attorney General, she was the District Attorney, excuse me, that's when she had the audacity to come out, and this is the quote. This is actual quote. I have it in verbiage here. Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're responsible in the safe way you conduct your affairs. This was under gun. So that was after the ban got shut down, and then the Heller case, which is one of the best cases, Heller and Bruin. When that came up, she actually filed a writ of the amici brief to the Supreme Court, where she argued that Washington, D.C.'s total gun ban did not violate the Second Amendment. My values have not changed, she screams.
Aye.
So this is what you can expect. So guess what? The election's coming. I was like, oh, geez, there's like 510 million firearms out there. There's, millions of owners. 1/3 of the population of the United States own ARs, about 120 million, according to Dave Yost and his amicus brief on the Rhode Island case that's coming up. But no, she said, I'm not going to go for the buyback. Because mandatory buyback is what she argued when she was running for president, a few years ago. Mandatory, but I said she softened it. Now it's just going to be a ban.
But think about this rule
that's
for
her
thee.
softening us. We're not going to pay you.
The left-wing liberal rules for thee and not for me mentality. Think about this now. Sponsored a bill to eliminate gun ownership in San Francisco. Running for president, and what'd she say? I own a gun. No, she doesn't. And if she does, she doesn't know where it is. And if she did get it in the first place, it was because her job as a prosecutor required it. And this is how they all think. This is the scary part. Forget about your locked door. I mean,
Chuck, that is verbiage.
I'll take Fourth Amendment for 500, Alex. Yeah. Forget about your locked door. We're coming into your house.
If you're in the sanctity of your locked home, doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that.
If you support this, you are insane, and please don't ever talk to me on the street.
It's unfathomable. Even if you're not a gun owner, even if you don't like guns, you have to look at this and say, okay, this is way overstepping of government bounds. This is you can't go down that path.
Hey, look at her comrade Hillary this past week. Kamala wants to kill the fourth. Hillary wants to kill the first. She's in favor of jail time if you say things that aren't government approved now. She thinks we should be looking at prosecuting people who say things or post things on social media that don't conform to the government's frame of mind.
Take them off the air, what we're seeing right now.
So when they say these are communists, and you say they're not communists, think about it, people. Your Bill of Rights, and they are just telling you straight to your face. We don't give a damn about your Bill of Rights.
And these people are not caring. I mean, they don't hide any longer their views and thoughts. They can say it right out loud.
And the next one, they mean her lies. Our border is secure. What does this have to do with guns? Well, they just released, and no one can believe it, that the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Service, ICE, released this yesterday, but now they have confirmed that Biden, our border czar, with a secure border, has allowed more than, here's the exact number, they have 425,431 convicted criminals that they have allowed in the United States, and they have a protocol where no one will be deported now. So who are these criminals? These are criminals. What do you say? Convicted. Well, these are verified. There are over 13,000, actually 13,099, are convicted murderers. Mm-hmm. One guy from Peru is in prison. He'd killed 23 people. They're emptying their prisons. Who would want to keep these people? He is now in the United States, roaming around free with another over 13,000 convicted, and another 1,800 are pending homicide charges. And there's over 15,800 convicted rapists and sexual assaulters have been released into the United States, with another 4,250 additional ones pending charges. They're in, they have these, they knew about these, and
when Donald Trump said they're sending us your murderers and your rapists and your crazy people, Donald Trump was a racist for saying it. Donald Trump was telling you what the FBI just reiterated in black and white yesterday.
And then there's 2 million that they said, yeah, but we know that they crossed over, but we never had a chance to talk to them. They're just out there. Another 2 million. So we don't know who they are, what they're doing. This is into our country, and there is no obligation that they are not deporting any of these people. As a matter of fact, they said, we want to take the illegal immigrants and make them citizens. So,
wow. Guys, let's jump to the bottom of the hour break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about news. We've got a gun to talk about, and also if you're in the area, stop by. We have a table set up today for Helping Hands of Central Ohio Food Pantry. They're doing a gun raffle. How could you not want that? They're right here on the range. We're OnTarget, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back right after the break.
Joe Valentine here for TNT. Buy a gun or get Helping Hands to buy food. We're going to raffle a gun for you.
And not a news station carried this last night. She went to the border where they said she was with 2 people and walking. No people were coming across. They said she was there for a little bit less than 20 minutes. About 19 minutes she walked with these people. They talked, the 2 border guards, but they didn't release any of the audio. So you just see her walking there, and then she takes off. That was her visit to the border. And that report was released, and nobody covered it except Fox. It's out there, but this is an official report. This is not something contrived. This is by their own agency.
Can you hear on that, Jake?
Yeah.
Can you talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about this gun real quick, and then we'll go to that. Then we're going to go to a break, and then that. So at least you'll be set up and ready to go.
Double stack 25. What is that?
Oh, this is something, Chuck. It's super neat. You don't need it, but it's super neat.
You don't want it.
Look at that caliber.
Look how heavy it is.
That is a 25.
No.
Feel how
It's
heavy
a 25.
What is NAA? I've never even seen
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Chuck.
That's a bullet made for that gun. And if you don't have that bullet, you can't shoot it.
A 32.
Okay.
With the 25 on top.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was for what?
Screaming. It screams. It has some neat ballistic qualities. More of they also did a 380 to a 32, like a lot more power and a little gun and stuff. Kind of a novelty, kind of a thing. I had it for a couple years and stuff. Well, a number of years actually now. I'm getting rid of it.
Durable, but it's 5.56.
It's heavy though. Do you feel heavy?
I'm just looking at it. It looks like a heavy.
They were always their guns were always heavy.
Wow. It's a 3D printed titanium flow through.
It's cute, but yeah, that's very heavy. You
wouldn't
even carry
that
in your
a
pocket.
9mm.
No.
I don't know
how heavy that is.
It's
not putting my fingerprints on that.
Modular, it's more pistol can. So.
No gun is a good gun for her. What?
Can he walk
as long as your big brothers are with you.
Yeah, they actually sell.
You said walk.
For those who are wondering, I brought the grandson with me today.
He's cute.
Screw
oil filters.
1 minute.
Standard oil
Hey,
filters
Papa.
That's an NFA item, I'm assuming.
Big Ed, I got Papa.
The more I hold it, the more I'm selling myself.
On the adapter.
That's why I put it at your seat.
The oil can adapter.
1 minute, I got you, L.
Terrible.
I cannot believe how thin this thing is.
Oh, my God. It's kind of like you now.
We tried one just with duct tape just to see if it did anything. You know,
look at us together, man.
Careful to make sure it stayed on just to fire.
That's a cute picture.
Blew the thing apart, but it did.
Probably.
Here we go.
Probably worked a little bit.
How do you know?
I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Okay. Ella. And the
5 seconds.
The Firearms Range and Training Facility. This is OnTarget.
There we go. Ella always makes it work. OnTarget. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm here, Derek. We got a full house today. I got Big Ed, I got Little Chuck, I got JC. Our sales manager, Jake, just walked up. Before we go any further, though, JC, I got to give, I know you guys talked about it last week, but I just love this thing. I got to give another shout out. Chuck, get it out of your pocket, Chuck.
It's not in my pocket. I'm being open and honest. And
the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. JC, that is a real deal. I haven't talked to you since you shot it last week.
It was great. I went in, and I think Jake provided me with about 15 rounds, and I went back and I tried it both left-handed and right-handed. Tried it my right-handed one, but I went to the eye doctor right after that yesterday, and he said, you should be using your left eye from now on. So, but it shot wonderfully. The recoil was amazing. I was expecting a lot more because the gun is very light. Unloaded without the magazine, it weighs 8.9 ounces. With the magazine, 11.1 ounces. And it's so small. It literally, put it in the palm of your hand so people out there can see.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
look at that.
it is just one of the smallest. It's smaller than like a Glock 42. The beauty of it is it's redesigned, so it comes with a 10-round and a 12-round magazine.
Yep.
So you have 13 rounds in something that's absolutely tiny. And I thought being small, it would move around a lot. They made the rear sight bigger. It's just for close-up, obviously, work. But it really worked well. I really appreciated the textures that are on there. You can actually hold it a lot more securely than some of my other firearms. And front serrations, and it's just
fits in the hand very nice.
Yeah,
really
it has a good feel.
And
you know what? I mean, and it took me a second to pick up on it, but the way they have that cut, the undercut is way up. It lets you put almost your full hand on it.
Right.
On a small,
your hands aren't small.
Yeah.
And with the 12-rounder in there, you're getting full.
Yeah. So
it's,
there you go.
Really
Stop by and check them out.
gun.
We do have them now in stock.
And we have them on the range. Come out and try it.
Yep.
And,
one on the range, one in Chuck's pocket. The other thing, guys, is
it feels really good. I mean, I've got huge monster hands. Okay, this feels really good, very comfortable, and like you said, the grip it's beautiful. I don't feel like that's going to slide. I mean, it's very. I really like this. I really
it does have a little more recoil. It's a lock breech. It's not a blowback like a lot of those, so it does cut down to some of the recoil there. So
that's why I put it in front of your desk.
Let me just say,
every time,
sweetheart, I'm sorry. I really like this. Okay.
I focused down on you there, Chuck, so she can
see
it.
What you told her?
Yep.
When you first met her?
Yes. So, every day since.
So, guys, the other thing, too, this we talk about some neat guns that come in. Jake, no, I'm going to keep your mic off because you're going to say something negative about it because I know you don't like this next one. But North American Arms has been around a long time. They were kind of at the forefront of these small pocket 380, the Guardians, the 32s. I mean, they were what you carried back then because there really wasn't much else. And a little bit heavier. You definitely know you're carrying, a chunk of a gun. They came out there with a cartridge that was very unique, and I think it came out in 04-ish, 05-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they came out with two different ones that were very unique. One was called a 32 North American Arms. One was called a 25 North American Arms. And what we have here, and this is a used gun now here at the store, used with only 5 rounds to it, is a 25 North American Arms. And what that is, it is a 32 cartridge neck down to a 25.
Yeah, one of the cartridges.
And JC, it moves.
It moves. And the beauty of neck down cartridges, bottleneck cartridges, like the 357 SIG is a 40 neck down to a 357. They took this 32, and it's a bottleneck, but because of it, they can put the more power in there, and with the weight of the bullet, it comes out at around 1,200 feet per second out of these small guns. But the beauty of it is it's got 20% more energy than a 32, and it's got much greater penetration, which is what you want in a small caliber gun. So as far as the caliber, it really, it smokes out there. 1,200 feet per second out of that with a 20% more energy. So it's like you shoot 4 times and get 1 free. So, basically that's...
now, there is a drawback.
Just that little bit of a step down there. That increases the compression to the point it's got that much velocity. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the one negative, obviously, on when you talk about some of these boutique guns is the ammunition is a little bit tough. This comes with a couple boxes, one defensive box and one for the range, but they're not overly easy to find. They're on the secondary market, but but they're out there. So I thought I'd just give a shout out. Kind of a neat
A lot of people have defensive guns that once you break them in, a lot of people hopefully the rest of their life they still have the original box left and they haven't really shot it for defensive ammo. So but they make it and you can get it and it's really kind of
ironically, JC, the 32 North American Arms 380 neck down to a 32. We don't have the gun. We have the ammo. There's still some ammo sitting back there from a while ago.
Once again, it's more powerful than the 380 and has more penetration simply because of the smaller diameter and faster velocity. So
there you go. Check everything you wanted to know. Guys, we're going to jump to a quick break because when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about suppressors and why it might be time to consider purchasing that suppressor. Our sales manager, Jake, has stumbled over to the table. I shouldn't say that. Maybe, maybe he did. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little about suppressors.
Sales manager or range manager?
Sales manager. Have you seen him on the range?
You said range manager.
Well, I messed up, Edward.
Just pointing that out, Eric.
All right, guys, we're going to jump to a break. On the other side, we'll talk about suppressors. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Farms Range. We'll be back right after the break.
With Chuck Douglas.
I know what you're doing. You're chomping at the bit, aren't you? You're waiting, just waiting, anticipating the next Power Hour. Everybody wants a weekend, so you have to live without me. Did you know last week NATO scrambled jets because of the Russians? Japan scrambled jets because of the Russians? America scrambled jets because of the Russians? No, of course you didn't. We're all still talking about dogs and cats in Springfield. Monday, 6 p.m., the Power Hour returns. Let's talk.
On News Radio 610 WTVN.
Look at that. You know what? I'm watching you, and your lips aren't moving, but I'm hearing you talking.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
How do you do that?
Yeah. I'm avoiding Haitian sushi bars in Springfield now. So.
Yeah. I would stay away from those. And you know what? I've finally retired my pager. Yes. Too risky. It does make you think twice, though.
Yeah. I just ordered some from Newfield. I don't know.
Is that the song? That's fun. That guy did a good job with that.
Is that the new Bob Connor? Is that what I'm hearing over there?
You got that, Chuck.
You remember that episode of The Cosby Show where Denise and the boyfriend are sitting there listening to reggae music? You got to turn it on so I can do my thing. Your ABC 6 first warning weather for the rest of today's showers, cloudy skies at 73, 48, clearing out and down to about 64. Tomorrow, more scattered showers. Bring them on. High of 74. 69 at your severe weather station. News Radio WTVN.
News, traffic, weather, sports. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Story about Billy Joe, about the Jew.
It's karaoke day at LEPD.
That's the voice of Chuck Douglas of the Power Hour. Chuck, I tell you what, and I say this every time. I don't say it just in here. I enjoy listening to it. I do. When I can, I enjoy listening to it. I know I can call you anytime, get the same old stuff. Yeah. But I enjoy listening to it.
That's the horror of me. I'm like that all the time.
There's no off button. I'll tell you. Let me tell you that. Guys, suppressors. We haven't about suppressors or silencers since 2021. Wow. And probably because in 2021, when you went to go purchase one, it was almost a year waiting for that to get out of suppressor jail or get your paperwork back from the ATF and NFA. That has all changed. And for some reason, miraculously, earlier this year, the wait times have now been cut. Sometimes, and I hate to set the expectation too high, we're seeing them in 24 hours. Which is incredible. Which means you no longer have to purchase it, set it in the safe here for a year.
And forget that you bought it.
And forget you bought it. You can oftentimes pick it up the same week, considering if everything goes good with the background check. But, I mean, it really has changed the whole industry. So I brought Jake. He is the sales manager here at LEPD, does a lot about suppressors, knows a lot more about them than myself. And so we thought we'd bring you up here, Jake, and talk a little about suppressors like you do all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, guys, when you talk about suppressors or silencers, ironically, when you think of a silencer, you think of Hollywood silence. You think of something that there's no sound to it. It's like in the movies. And they're probably better described as a suppressor, suppressing some of the sound. But yet the ATF still references them as silencers.
Because the first one that was ever made, Hiram Maxim, came over in the 1800s, and he just happened to call it the silencer, and that's how it went into the books way back then, and they never changed it.
They had them in the 1800s?
Late 1800s.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you just put a chicken on the end of the barrel or something.
It's a muffler.
That's how it started.
Same as a muffler.
Yeah, same as a muffler. So, and when you start to look, just to give you a frame of reference of what it actually does, it's not Hollywood silent here. Just to give you a frame of reference, a normal 22 long rifle without a suppressor on it is about 120 decibels. With a suppressor, you get it down to about 100. Okay, and you might say, well, what's 100 decibels? Well, just 100 decibels is a power saw. So we're not talking something that's quiet. 100 decibels is a rock concert, a car horn. It is a baby crying. So you're not talking about something that is totally silent. And when you start to look at that, when you get into the rifles and some of the handguns, some of it is right on the edge of still needing hearing protection. So you might say, then why the heck do I even want one of these?
Exactly.
So Jake, we went through, we talk about it every day and stuff. Mm-hmm. Knowing this isn't a Hollywood super silent, you're never going to hear it around. Talk about some of the reasons. Why would someone want to buy a suppressor other than being cool like us?
Well, yeah, being cool is definitely one of the major concerns with that. But I mean, the biggest thing is that it does suppress the sound. It does reduce the sound. So even if it's not quite hearing safe, you are still protecting your hearing using it. If you had to use it for like home defense or something like that, and you didn't have the opportunity to put on hearing protection, you would not do permanent damage to your hearing.
And that's a valid point. And JC, you talk about having hearing protection beside your bed for years.
Oh yeah, I really strongly advise people, if they have electronic earmuffs, keep them beside your bed. Not only can you hear everything that's going on, we can hear a cat walk across our kitchen from 45 feet away, but it protects it in case you do have to shoot. So I strongly recommend keeping a pair, next to your bed frame, especially the electronic ones. So
that's a good reason behind it. It can reduce the concussion of it.
Yeah, so your signature, the other side of that is your signature reduction, especially if you're like indoors. The flash and concussion that is coming out of, especially a long gun, being indoors is it'll knock your block off.
Yeah.
If you've never shot without Ear Pro indoors, you don't really know what I'm talking about, but it is bad, and even a small silencer can mitigate that significantly, and make it to where you still know what's going on around you when you're doing your thing.
So in Congress, where there's an act trying to make these so you don't have to go through as an NFA item. I mean, it's literally a piece of metal with baffles in it that threads onto the gun. And it's called the Hearing Protection Act, and it was just simply to protect hearing, because that's what it does. But it's the old movies from the 50s and James Bond.
And fortunately, not much prospect of that going through, but
right, especially in this environment.
Right now,
so, Jake, too, recoil mitigation. It does. Or it can also reduce the recoil a little bit.
Yeah, typically you're always going to find some recoil mitigation when you put a can on there. I mean, there's a couple reasons for that. Obviously, the function of the can is to slow down the gases as they exit the muzzle. So you're getting a less violent expulsion of the gases out of there. And then also mechanically you're adding weight to the end of the gun, which is going to reduce the recoil as well.
So that's a great point, though, with the weight at the end of the gun. A lot of these suppressors are different weights.
Oh, yeah.
So why would I want to pick one up, or why would I consider one that's heavier versus lighter? What am I gaining?
So typically a heavier can is going to be more durable, generally speaking. And that comes down to the materials that they're using. Typically with your super lightweight cans, nowadays they're going to be titanium. With some of the rimfire cans, you'll even get aluminum cans, whereas more of your heavier weight ones, standard weight, I guess you'd say, like the Surefire that he's got over there, it is Inconel, which is probably the best material for making suppressors, but it is heavy. So it does add quite a bit of weight on the end of your gun.
And something that I was surprised is that regardless, as you start looking at these, the different weights, the different manufacturers, it really doesn't influence the decibel reduction. It's not like, hey, I'm going to spend the money and buy one for $900 because it's really going to reduce the sound. They're all in the same ballpark. And when I asked you about that, what you said was kind of ironic. You said, I don't even look at that. That's not why I'm not buying this to try to get to a point where I'm not wearing hearing protection. You're buying it for the signature and some of the other things. But really, there's no difference or very little.
And the other thing that I was surprised, but I hadn't noticed that a lot of the military ones that were shooting longer distance, they actually said that it actually makes the gun more accurate because a lot of the gases that disturb it right as it leaves the barrel are mitigated before it goes out. So they said, because I was kind of surprised going, boy, look at that, I got a suppressor on there and they're shooting at this long range, and they said, well, it makes it more accurate.
To be more effective in quieting a gun, or?
Well, there's not many that can be altered. In FAM, it's unless you are a manufacturer, it's pretty hard to alter a can. There are some cans that are modular cans that you could actually, if you bought two of them, you could kind of stick together. Really, in terms of like sound, it's all about the volume, the internal volume of the can.
So Chuck, kind of to that, I mean, in theory, if you correct me if I'm wrong, if you really wanted to make this super quiet, it would have to be extremely large and long. I mean, if you really trying to, is that a fair statement?
Depends on what you mean by extremely quiet.
Yeah.
But the more volume that you have, the more room you have for those gases to expand and cool and slow before they exit the muzzle, which is how the suppressor suppresses. So if you increase that, you increase your decibel reduction.
So as we got to watch time a little bit here, but you're buying your suppressor. A couple of the things to look for: user serviceability, being able to clean it. What do I want to look for in that?
So rifle cans, like true rifle rated cans, you're not going to really worry about that. There's no real reason to ever clean them. Some of them you can. Most are not user serviceable in terms of being able to remove baffles or anything like that. Because of their high pressure, right? So it's kind of blowing all the crud out of it. On your pistol cans, and especially on rimfire cans, they are very dirty, and you're definitely going to want to clean those every once in a while. Again, you know, it's not like super often or anything like that, but every once in a while you are going to want to do that.
And there's some out there now for, correct me if I'm wrong, pistol calibers that are modular. So if you, obviously the longer, the more volume in there is going to help with the suppression and the signature. But some of these, you might be in a position where you don't want it that long all the time.
Sure.
And so these modular ones allow you to really shrink it down to something depending on your scenario.
For instance, you got that new Dead Air Mojave 9 there, and that's a modular can. So if you take the end cap off of that and the removable section, you can place the end cap onto the base of the suppressor. And reasons you might want to do that: if you have a pistol, you might not want all the weight hanging out on the end because you're not quite as concerned about the sound. You just want to suppress it. Or if you had like a small pistol caliber carbine or something like that, and you wanted it for a bag gun, you could shorten that can down. You might be able to fit it in the bag with the can attached.
But the shorter, the lesser the compression, or
right. More noise.
More noise.
But you are still affecting that signature, and to that point, Knight's Armament just came out with one, and it's next to nothing, and it's really meant for the signature, not much on the sound suppression.
It's been around for a little while, but it is a super tiny, I don't have it back here right now, but it is a super tiny 5.56 dedicated can. This particular one's 5.56 dedicated can, and it is meant just for flash and concussion reduction. It's meant for like CQB, if you had on like a duty rifle or something like that.
So attaching these, they all have a little bit different type of attachment, but they're starting to move towards something that's a little bit more universal.
So there's a growing kind of trend in the industry towards what they call hub compatibility, which is standard base threading on the end of the can to allow you to attach different hub compatible mounts, to utilize different companies' quick detach methods. So say I had a not this particular Huxworks can, but one of their new Ventum cans is hub compatible, but all my guns were set up for Surefire. I could get a B&T makes a Surefire compatible hub. I could get that, put that on the end of the Ventum, and then I would be able to attach that onto my existing rifles without having to change out all my muzzle devices, which are about $150 a piece. So not having to change those every time you get a new can is pretty big.
And that's a little bit of a game changer, because prior to this, you almost had to commit. Okay, I'm going to stick with Surefire, and Huxworth came out with one. Wow, I'm kind of a Surefire guy here because of the muzzle brake. So this kind of
horseshoe into what it refer to as like an ecosystem for your can. So if you have one Surefire, it would behoove you to get more Surefire stuff because it's all compatible. Just like, say you have an iPhone, you want to get an Apple Watch, because they're compatible. They already work together.
So what's the cost on these range from?
There's a huge range. Basically, figure anything that you would spend on a gun, you can spend on a can. Some of your rimfire stuff, some of the like 22 long rifle dedicated stuff, obviously is going to be your cheapest, down to around $200. But we've got stuff here up to $1,700.
Right.
Just depending on the functionality of it. A little bit, you pay a little bit for the name brand sometimes, but just there's a whole lot of factors.
In the durability, it goes back to whether you're carrying this for duty carrier or something that's going to really, be put through the paces. And Jake, when you're looking at this, when you have it on and everything, ammunition at that point is a consideration. You can still shoot regular ammunition through it. You're going to get the most significant decrease in decibels and everything if you go with subsonic ammunition.
Yeah. So if you're going for being hearing safe, you're definitely going to want to shoot subsonics. Some calibers, just by their nature, are not capable of that. So like 5.56, for instance, it's an inherently supersonic cartridge, and it needs to be to do what it's supposed to do. So anything that is supersonic as it breaks that sonic barrier, it's no longer hearing safe, even no matter what can you have on it, anything like that. So
last thing, Jake, because we're down to about the last minute. The process for doing it has become really easy. We have a kiosk here from Silencer Shop. You can do the fingerprints. You can do the photos here. All the people need to do, go up there, make a profile on Silencer Shop, right? Come in here, ask for any of your guys at the desk, and they can walk. You can walk them through the process.
Yeah, we made a one-stop shop, and if you're thinking about it, you come by. I've got a little cheat sheet that I made up. You can grab one of those and get yourself started on the process, even if you're just thinking about it. So.
Yeah.
Do we allow anyone to shoot these on our range?
Absolutely.
So if I wanted to get one, could I come in and say, hey, I don't know what they're like? Do we have anything that...
We don't have any of them. We have one right now.
300 blackout. We have a suppressed MCX Rattler LT with a 6
on the range.
up there on the range.
Perfect. Cool. Hearing protection.
Guys, thanks for spending the last hour with us. Jake, thanks so much. Definitely come in, ask for Jake or any of the boys. They can certainly help you with that. Suppressor choices. Check out this. Always good to see you. Good to see you, Big Ed. Thanks, JC. Next week we are off because of Ohio State, but we will be back shortly thereafter. Stop by and see us.
Listen on the free iHeart Radio app for all your music, news, talk, and sports radio. Podcasts too. Download the app. Free. Never sounded so good.
This is Greg Trusinski from the Original Mattress Factory. I want to share the story of a couple I worked with recently. After receiving a quote from a competitor for a mattress, they visited OMF and found a mattress that was a great fit for them. They were so pleased with our quality and value that they ended up purchasing 2 mattresses, a box spring, headboard, and frame. Their total at OMF was roughly $400 less than what they would have spent on just the one mattress at the competitor. If you're ready to get better sleep for less, visit us at originalmattress.com.
Hi, this is Tim Dye with Upward Home Solutions.
I'm ready whenever you are, Al.
Selling your home, this is the most important message you'll hear since before
Okay, here we go.
pandemic.
This is just going to be one that they can play for all the different things since we're off next
an
week.
exciting new program that is getting our home sellers thousands more for
This is
their
Eric from
home.
OnTarget. If you
Our
believe in the right to
customers
keep and
love
bear
it.
arms
It's
and the
still as
safety and
easy as
security
ever
of our
with
nation
absolutely
is
no
important to
commissions or
you,
fees.
please go vote
Just
this
more money
election.
in
We
your
keep you
pocket.
updated
To find
Saturdays
out
at noon
more,
or
visit
live
us
from
at
LAPD Studios on Bethel Road.
614houses.com. Upward Home Solutions, #1
Hey,
in
thanks
Columbus
for
home buyers.
putting everything together with what you had to deal with.
You can sell. I'm
You going to be able to get those files
CEO of
back?
Abacus Life.
What?
For
Are you going to be able to
almost
get those
20
files
years,
back?
Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies for
Are you
seniors
serious?
just like you.
No,
And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations.
Right.
Get real value from your life insurance when you need it. with Abacus. Learn more at
Oh, that's horrid.
abacuspays.com.
That makes you sick.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
Oh, really?
I actually like them better than my old 5,000.
Oh, is there a better email, or is it best to text you with it, or
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville, an iHeartRadio station.
Which is why it didn't
Wow.
play, but then I reset the end date, which is why you had it halfway through the show.
Awesome.
Good on that from now on.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing everything on the fly. I know how that gets to be, so.
I tried. Sorry.
All right. Nope. You're good. All right. Well, have a good one. We'll catch you here in a couple weeks.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
So here's a lot. Right, there you go. So, but anyway, there's a recall, safety recall.
If you got a bolt action through the key, you'll be fine.